Well, hey there, Kaijudo fans. My name is Reuben Bresler, and I'm going to be commentating over the finals of the Seattle Kaijudo Championships for you today. Give you a brief introduction of myself. I work at StarCityGames.com in the event coverage department, covering Magic tournaments. I've been covering Magic for a couple years now. I've been working at Star City Games for the last year, and I started playing Magic when I was 12. And I've recently gotten into Kaijudo. A couple of my good friends, Lauren Lee, Jerry Thompson, Christopher Anderson, have gotten me into playing some Kaijudo, and I'm excited to try my hand at commentary for the very first time. So I hope you guys enjoy and stick around. So here we have the finals with Bobby Brake on the left and Robby Stewart on the right. We have a Robert mirror match here in the finals. Bobby Brake is on 3-color Leviathan control. He has light, water, and darkness, and Robby Stewart has 4-color dragons, otherwise known as Birds of War, as he likes to call it. Somewhat similar builds. They're both pretty much control decks that use enormous creatures at the end of the game to try to win the game. Both players have access to the best that light, water, and darkness have to offer, as we see Robby start things off with a dual civilization mana source. There's Matt Tabak taking a seat there. Rules guru Matt Tabak. He's a Kaijudo rules manager, and I know him from Magic, of course. Robby has 3 of his requisite 4 mana already in play. Both of these players are going to have access to Storm Spark Blast. They're both going to have access to Terror Pit, Bottle of Wishes, Andromeda, of course. But from there, they sort of differ slightly in how they try to end the game. Robby has 22 total dragons in his deck, along with 7 birds. One of his dragons, of course, is Hyperspeed Dragon. It's going to try and sneak early dragons in, as we see Bobby cast the first spell of the match, and that's going to be Mesmerize. Mesmerize very good in the control mirror, being able to take away the biggest thing that your opponent has. He's going to reveal Robby's hand of Lyra, Hyperspeed Dragon, and a pair of Bone Blades. We're going to take the Lyra. Hyperspeed Dragon not nearly as scary when there's no more dragons left in your hand. So Robby has all of his mana available to him. He has not played a spell yet, though. No Umbra, no Nyx, no Lux to accelerate him, and obviously the Hyperspeed Dragon doesn't come down until next time. But Bobby has access to lots of ways to deal with that, should he so choose. Bobby's just going to develop his mana zones some more, make sure that he has all of the types of mana he wants. And here's the first creature of the match. This is Robby, and Robby's going to play Hyperspeed Dragon. That's the one that allows you to cheat other dragons into play whenever it wins a battle. Looks like Bobby has his own first play of the match. That's King Neptus. Can't be the target of spells or abilities. Robby is not going to have a follow-up here. Asking how many cards are in hand there. Robby replies that he has 2 cards. Bobby's deciding how he wants to go about this game. 4 mana. He's going to play Crystal Memory. Crystal Memory allows him to search his deck for any card, especially in control matchups, very potent, since usually you don't have the time to use it against the rush decks. Taking a quick glance through his deck, looks like he's decided on what he wants to get. And it looked to me like it was a Mesmerize. Now that game plan means that he is playing for as long of a game as possible. He is expecting this game to go on pretty much forever, which is where you want to be when you want to resolve King Tritonus eventually. As Robby yet again just plays another Stormspark Blast and passes the turn. And there is the Mesmerize. We've got a couple of big guys as options here. He decides to choose the Shade Blaze, which is the 8-drop, over Infernus the Awakened, or the Awakener, which is a 9-drop because, as you can see, he couldn't cast it that turn. Instead, he has another guy off the top, which isn't nearly as good. He decided to not make a mana drop that turn to try to develop his mana and keep as many cards as he can in hand. He wants to be able to cast all of his dragons. Here's another Crystal Memory for another Mesmerize, and that's going to take out that Infernus the Awakener. And that is going to leave Nothing but a Storm Spark Blast. That's a whole bunch of shield blasts that Robby's drawn this game. That's General Sky Crusher off the top. That's going to be able to take over the game pretty much on its own if it's left unimpeded, but Andromeda has something to say about that. Andromeda, one of the most ubiquitous cards in the game. Gonna bump Bobby up to 7 shields. It's gonna eat a Terror Pit pretty much immediately, but that's okay because he got value off of the card. Bobby was 1 for 1 on cards in that exchange and is up 2 shields in the exchange. So he pretty much just got 2 free shields there. And Keeper of Laws is also gonna come down for Bobby. That's the combo, of course. 2 Shroud creatures. But Storm Spark Blast is one of the ways to deal with those 2 creatures as he takes them both out. The Storm Spark Blast is going to allow Bobby to draw a card, though. And with all of the board presence on the other side of things, for Robby, it looks like he's going to have to... he has a choice here. He can try to start to get aggressive. He's decided to not get aggressive just yet. He's hoping to develop his board a little bit more. Unfortunately, that plan only works when your opponent doesn't play big guys like the Singleton Wave Lancer in Bobby's deck. So Bobby is now resorting to spinning the bottle here. Not a bad choice. So many hits in his dragon deck. As I mentioned, he has 22 dragons in total. He's got a lot of good hits. He's got Terror Pits. He's got some Bone Blades. He's got some other nice things that he can hit here. Tatsuri on the Enchained. Of course, Infernus would be absolutely bananas here. But it's a Lux instead, so that's awkward. That's not nearly as good. Fumes is going to get rid of Bobby's last card in hand. He'll be living off the top of his deck from now on, which is not where you want to be. And that's King Tritonus. Awkward. That's the control killer. Draws his 5 cards. That guy's got triple breaker. He can also ice things down. Yeah, that guy's very difficult. Even when you have all of your dragons, it's pretty impossible to deal with. Toxic Fog is going to kill off 2 birds with 1 stone. It's usually best, that card, against bugs and rush, but perfectly acceptable here in the late game to knock down a pair of Lux. Storm Spark Blast is going to tap down all of Robby's creatures, including the constricted general. 3 of his creatures are going to hit the bin. The last one is constricted. It looks like Robby's decided he's had enough there. The triple breaker from King Tritonus and friends is going to be able to take it eventually, so they're going to shuffle up for a second game. Here we are in the second game. Once again, Bobby on the left and Robby on the right. These players actually know each other pretty well. They traveled on the qualifying circuit together. Bobby qualified in Kansas, and the very next day, Robby qualified in Missouri. They were traveling together from Texas. I learned that little fact from Kaijudo video personality Ryan Miller when I was watching some of the coverage. Perfect timing. Turn 3 Umbra right off the top, I imagine. That's not exactly where Robby wants to be, but it's going to allow him to play a turn 4 Herald. And so now he's going to go on the offensive. The Umbra is going to break a shield. That's the kind of start, one of the kinds of starts that he needs. Let's see if he can keep up the aggression. Bobby needs to get any kind of a creature into play here to be able to keep from getting pecked to death, basically. Fumes is a good one. Fumes is going to make Robby discard Andromeda. So he's going to, that's a clear signal that he's going to go for the aggressive game plan. So he's going to hope to end this game relatively early because the Andromeda is going to, it speaks to a late game plan and he's not going to play it. And so Herald's the only one that goes in. Not going to win a fight, so it doesn't get to make a dragon. Now Bobby is going to be the one that gets a genie from his Bottle of Wishes. Shuffling up. Got lots of good hits in his deck as well, on top of things like Lyra and Andromeda. He's also got Toxic Fog, which will be able to take care of the Umbra. He could, of course, hit another Bottle of Wishes. Those are always fun. The multiple Bottle of Wishes. Squillant's Scourge would be an interesting one here as well. But he's got lots of good choices. And that's a Terror Pit. Terror Pit's going to take down the Herald. That means Robby is back to being unable to profitably attack with anything. And Robby is just going to make a mana drop and pass. That's not going to be good enough, as looks like Lyra is going to come down for Bobby. That's going to spell the end of Robby's last creature. He gets punished for getting aggressive right there at the beginning. It looks like giving Bobby more cards early, being able to not be able to back it up. Yet another missed creature drop. Robby's missed the two best ways to beat the creature deck, which is the early acceleration with the birds and the mid-game dragons. Robby's tapping out. Looks like he's got a good one on top. There we go. Shade Blaze is a good place to start. That's going to kill the fumes. He can attack if he wants, but he's going to choose not to. He's hoping for another creature off the top to build up some more pressure before going all in on just the one guy. But it's going to fall into the pit immediately. Bobby sends it to the pit. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. There's a nice follow-up. Robby's calling for the Tritonus. He does not get it. It's going to be Andromeda instead. 2 more shields. And there's King Tritonus. That's going to be a problem. 9-drop followed by 10-drop. Your opponent's hand is full of business. Your hand is not so much. There's a Crystal Memory. Robby's words of encouragement there for his friend. Crystal Memory going to go get the Stormspark Blast, tapping all of Robby's guys, killing him off the battlefield. We got some draw-go action from Robby. He's pretty much resigned to defeat here. He's going to flood his board with guys. Robby looks at the top card, doesn't find what he needs, and looks like, to me, that Bobby Break is going to win the very first Kaijudo Championship. So there you go. Well, that was my first attempt at commentary on Kaijudo. I'm still learning, but hopefully that was an enjoyable experience. I certainly had a good time, and I hope you consider me for doing commentary in the future. I'm Reuben Bresler. Thanks again.